new. Hi, folk. I've been reining myself in because I really thought this time the church will finally be the voice of God. Remember what it says, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and how the leaders were meant to be of a certain caliber and to have a certain character, and they're meant to shepherd the church. You know how Paul would say, if someone is like this and they're like this and they're like this, fornicator, traitors, drunkards, liars, railers, don't even eat with them and they're not welcome in the church. There must be anathema. All those verses. The verse is actually used to show that going no contact with evil people, no matter what they are, whether they're parents or not, is justifiable using the Bible. Those scriptures are the scriptures church leaders especially should be using for a repeat adulterer, for a repeat liar and hypocrite. Those are the scriptures they should be using. From such, turn away. But first, they're meant to be shepherds. They will talk to you. Jesus spoke to his Pharisees. What did he say to them? You belong to your father, the devil. What did John the Baptist say? You brood of vipers. Who has warned you to flee from the destruction to come? I.e., you guys are bound for hell. What are you doing here? Trying to get away from it because they didn't believe John. They didn't really accept his teachings. And that's what I see now. And this is why I am going to be my own boss. They are not speaking on God's behalf. They're not speaking on my behalf as the innocent, wronged, betrayed member of their church. They're not helping their lost preacher man find the way, as far as I know. They're not checking if the cruel behavior, the neglect, the financial abuse, they're not even asking, how is it now that you told us this in October? Are you okay? What if things have escalated? Are they checking? They are not checking a single thing, guys. A whole church of absolute silence. So I will not be silent this time. Last time, an elder told me I mustn't tell anybody, etc., etc. No more. This time, I know that I'm not loved. I was told to my face and through text that I am not loved because I choose to obey the Bible instead of my feelings. And that's okay, because the writer of the Bible is the one who made me. The writer of the Bible is the one who saved me. And the writer of the Bible is the one who will take me to heaven. So if it's choose between God and man, of course I'm going to choose God. And thus I will choose the other part. What else can I do for God? I'm not well enough to go and have meetings with high school girls and tell them, these are the red flags. So I'll speak online. I will warn you of the red flags. I will warn you of what those red flags can lead to if you don't obey the warning and stop. I mean, stoplight, red light, stoplight, stop. Don't move. And a red flag, stop. The only movement you make is a U-turn away. From such, turn away. And now, because there is no desire to be loving, kind, empathetic, sympathetic, I'm a single mother. I am not married. So it's time for me to be honest, fully honest, transparent, to not be scared. I've got nothing to fear anymore. I will speak for myself because no one else is speaking for me. Here we go. This is just a video on the first time. I'm sure it will use a lot of what I mentioned last time when the one titled Surviving, but surviving the extramarital relationships. But I'm just beginning afresh from the beginning. And on my Instagram, I'm adding all these signs of enmeshment using and being open that it's my experiences as me. Instead of, when last time, remember, I was just airy-fairy, and obviously you could read between the lines, but I never did just say, my so-and-so in-law stole our money that we had both worked for physically to save for our rent deposit, for example. I didn't share that. I didn't share how a sibling in-law almost got me deported by giving me a fake work permit, which was found out by an employer who had wanted to see my work permit. I'd never told you that. And I didn't tell you that I never got an apology. Zero. Imagine if I had been sent to a detention center. I hadn't even planned on it. You know, it's different if you know I'm carrying a fake piece of paper and I know they might notice. I went in there innocently, like a lamb to the slaughter. And the reply I got was she shouldn't have told them. She shouldn't have handed the passport over. She should have just said, yes, she's got a work permit, except the future employer wanted it to take photocopies of it. And I don't think like a criminal because I'm not a criminal. So why would I even think that way? So there's a lot I haven't shared because I kept hoping that my prayers would help, that God would be loved, and that the lack of accountability, the hiding of all the criminal acts would stop, and the overlooking of the criminal acts would end. I hoped that we would become a family unit, but it will never be. He's living his life like a single bachelor. It's time for me to live my life as a single Christian woman. See you on the other side. So I'm here. I've been here for a long time, many years I've been online. And I decided I am going to save the world. Or at least save one girl. At least save one girl. Because I know there are many teens, young ladies, unmarried ladies, single ladies. And in our culture, until you are married, uyintombi. Well, in my mother's culture, you're a girl until you're married. Then ungumfazi. It's, yeah, there's a nuance. Even if you're 20, say in Tombi, even if you're 30, if I got chatty, back when I was growing up, you were still in Tombi. So I'm saving all the girls, I'm hoping. Well, at least one or two, if you will listen to me. Like I said in the other video, people don't listen to me. They don't listen to me. Surely, don't I look like a very wise 45-year-old woman? Married for 23 years this April. Surely I should have. They should listen to me. Don't I look believable? But seriously, people don't because unfortunately, love or lust, love not the principle. Okay, I'm Christian. I am a super Christian, as in I love Christ. That's all that means. I really love Christ and I love to and strive to live according to the Bible, not according to someone's sermon, not according to some person's devotional, but according to the Bible. So that's where I am taking everything. And because I was born into the church, I then have all the brainwashing from the church. So the first time that I found out that my husband was being unfaithful, whew, let's go back 2016. And around December 2015, somewhere there, or January 2016, my husband told me, why am I telling you this firstly? Because it won't make sense if I just tell you red flags. Red flags leading to what? What did the red flags lead to? They led to this. And this is something you need to be saved from. So I have been doing all the maternal enmeshment videos and I will return to those. But first you need the red, before you know why I'm warning you. This is what I'm warning you about. Clearly, your story won't be the same as mine. Clearly, many of you will never catch your husbands being unfaithful. So you will never know. You will only find out on Judgment Day that actually they were living a double life. Some people only find out after their husbands die that they had been unfaithful. Some find out because their husbands die while they're with the other woman. Others find out because they meet at the hospital. So just because you don't know now that he's being unfaithful, it doesn't mean he's not currently being unfaithful. So that's why I'm giving all the red flags, because all those red flags that I'm giving you, which are mostly linked to narcissistic boys who are married to their mothers, maternal incest, maternal son enmeshment. They're narcissists, and not narcissists by nature cannot be faithful. You just haven't found out yet if you know that they are a narcissist or have narcissistic traits. So let us begin. How did I find out the first time? Did he come and confess? No, here he goes. So in those months, one of those months, he told me that at his work, there was a course it was suggested that he take this course. It was not necessary. Strike one. I said, okay, if it's not necessary, why are you taking it? Oh, but I want to get ahead. Sorry. Ugh. I've got a fan on. It's 36.5 degrees Celsius. It's hot. So the fan is on. I'm hoping the sound doesn't cover this. The sound doesn't muffle my voice. So I said, but if you don't need to do it, then there's no need to do it. You're already traveling so much for work. People, when you're a stay-at-home mom, there comes a point where home feels like a prison. And home feels like a prison if you're the only one being the parent. If you are solo parenting, ask any single mother, it kind of feels like you are in prison. Even if you're not the prisoner, you're the prison warden and you have to be on duty every day. Like this one time, this single mother phoned me. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm all alone. I'm not mocking her. She really was. It was midnight. And she caught me awake because I was also being a single mom to our babies. And one of them was sick, vomiting, and her child had a fever and she was really stressing. It was bad. And I thought, I'm just like you. Being married makes no difference. I'm just like you. And so I didn't want him to do this course, but he wanted to because always the ambition has not been to be godly. The ambition has been to move up, move on up, by hook or by crook. So he did it. I didn't like it. Next thing that was also a red flag to me was he came back from the first one. So what they were going to do is a bunch of them were going to meet every month. Different people from different parts of the country were doing this course, going to meet in Johannesburg, and then sometimes they would travel to different countries overseas through Africa. So every month for about 5 days or so, yes, about 5 days, they would be in Johannesburg. The very first time he came back from Johannesburg, he says to me, yeah, the lecturer, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something like the lecturer asked, how is your family going to handle how often you will be away? And this woman, her name wasn't Tsiki. I filed that name in my head. This woman was so full of herself. She said, well, my husband must deal with it because I supported him when he was doing his MBA, so he must deal with it and, take good care of the child. She was pregnant at the time, take care of the other child. And guys, I kid you not, as soon as he said that Nsiki was full of herself, I thought, darn, I'm in trouble. Because narcissists want to show that they are powerful. So he will want to dominate and show this Miss Thang who is married that she needs me. You need me, girlfriend. You're not this Miss Independent you pretend you are. But I was a good Christian girl. So I kept quiet and I noticed that as the course went on and the work was piling on too, that's why I didn't want him to do the stupid course. And believe me, it's like, of all his accomplishments, it means nothing. And more importantly, I have always told him I would rather be poor. I would rather live in a shack, in a squatter camp, as we used to call them before people became PC, than be rich and miserable. I would rather be poor and happy, in love, loved, truly loved, held when I'm in pain, told, let me massage you. Goodness me, I would love to be loved. So I always told him I'd rather be poor. I don't care if you stay at this level. I don't care. As long as you start loving me, be more present. But yeah, so they went on and this thing that kept moving on, moving on. So now we move on. And at this very time, it is more emotionally and physically strenuous on me because that's when we are getting our son, Micaiah, diagnosed, assessed. I knew when he was 6 months old. He was born on September 24th, Heritage Day, in 2015, right? So this is like we got this sweet boy in January. He was 4.5 months old, and then he starts the stupid course in February. So he's traveling for work and he's traveling for this course, and I'm keeping home together with these 4 children on my own. And at 6 months old, so that would be October, November, December, January, February, March. March, I say, guys, Micaiah is autistic. I just knew it. No eye contact. That's a whole other story. How I discovered that Micaiah is autistic and has sensory processing disorder and has auditory processing disorder and low muscle tone. All these things. Global developmental delay. It was not a quick process. I will cover that later. So it's a lot of testing. Sedated, not sedated, can't get a vein, screaming, blood dripping in theater, because they've put the cannula in his neck to get the sedative in the sedation, the anesthesia. It was hell. And he's having fun. That's the beauty. He always has fun while I'm going through hell. So there I am. I'm trying to be a good mom. People who know me know I always have worked at being a good Christian wife. Heavy emphasis on Christian. Nothing I do is meant to be harmful spiritually. As in, I'm not meant to ever curse you, swear at you, hate you, like, that kind of thing. And I will always be humble, respectful, submissive. And in that sense, submissive meant I will keep quiet even though you really are mean. I mean, I did say, why do you look down? Why do you talk down to me like I'm an idiot? I always said that. I would always ask, why do you talk to me like you're lecturing me, like I'm some 4-year old and you're this professor, like there's this huge gap and only you have wisdom. I used to ask that. I never got an answer, so I stopped asking. It never changed. It did not change. So time goes on. Strain, strain. I'm struggling. The romantic letters, emails, the phone calls when it gets to work, stop. Me being such a good Christian, he being such a good Christian preacher, it didn't even cross my mind that he's stopping because he's starting with someone else. I thought, man, I'm really doing this alone. There's not even a pretense of, I love you, I'm home, I'm at the office safe, none of that. But it must be because of this course. It's only a year long. Maybe when he's done with the course, then he will come back and be kind to me again. Maybe then, after the course, he will remember me and love me properly again. I didn't stop. I didn't stop doing my part. I still reached out. I miss you. I still reached out. I still was present in every way as a wife. And August of that year, now before this, I'm going through this with my son. He is going through it with her, with that same Tsiki. So I'm saying Mikaya is autistic. He's not making eye contact. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. And he's telling me Tsiki, her brother or whatever, was diagnosed when he was 3 years old. But the thing is, I was asking myself, why is Mr. Preacher Man, who goes around preaching that men and women must never be friends, being so close to Nsiki when there's a group of 50 people? Why is he, as always, always lingering with the women? You can ask Andile, he's right here on my Instagram. Andile Nongeni, or Nongeni, I don't know how you pronounce his surname. He's never been to my house. But Uzodwa and the others, those girls, he used to bring them to my home. And for a preacher man who said that girls and men should not be too close, you should keep a reserve, a dignified distance from girls, he lived the exact opposite, guys. There was a lot of pain I was enduring from before we got married. And you can ask him if he remembers or if he's got the humility to remember. I told him, I married you for the potential you have to become a loving person, because I thought he was going to grow in grace and become more Christian and more like a Christian husband should be. Just like I was not perfect, so I was also growing in grace. So why should I expect a perfect specimen of husbandry, or not husbandry, of a husband? But it never happened. So I was calm and quiet, and he's telling me, Tsiki, Tsiki, Tsiki. Now, the worst thing is, they were divided into groups, right, to do their projects. Tsiki was not even in his group. So he's got these women in his group and this other man or two, I don't know how many. There were five or six in a group. Tsiki was in some other group. But he's getting close to Tsiki so much that she knows what's happening in his life. He knows what's happening in her life. One night, when I went to fetch him, driving on that N2 on my own Friday night at night to go and fetch my husband, who I did not know yet was being unfaithful, from the airport, coming back, so tired, poor man, had to leave his poor family all alone, and went to fetch him. He says to me, shame, poor Ntsiki. Her husband didn't come fetch her. She has to go home in an Uber. Her husband said he has other things to do. And I thought, so what? So what? Who cares? I don't care. I didn't want to come here, but it seemed like I have to. Because if I don't, and that was the thing with a narcissist, if you don't treat them like they are king, they act like you are insulting them, you are demeaning them, and if you're a woman, you're not being submissive. You are there to make me happy. They don't think I am there to make you happy. For them, you're there to make them feel happy, make them feel admired, make them feel needed, make them feel idolized. So I had to be there. I didn't really want to. I did not want to be driving at night for a stupid course I didn't want him to do. but I did it anyway with a smile. So I was thinking, who cares what Ziggy does? As long she'll get home, and she did get home. She will get home. You will get home. Everyone will get home. I don't. I've used Uber. So what? So that was that. And then May, around May, he says, Ntsiki has asked me. Now, at this point, he's mentioned that Ntsiki has looked at my blog that I had. It was a very good blog, as in it had a lot of different kinds of readers. And she wants to come visit us. I said, what for? And he says, well, she wants to learn about vegan eating. So I said to him, but my recipes are on my blog. She can just ask. And if she wants to visit us because of my blog, my comment section is open. Why has she not said anything in my comments? She must contact me if she wants to come to my house. She never did contact me. So that was that. And then he comes along and he says, oh, Ziggy wants me to mentor her. Excuse me? Ziggy wants me to mentor her. And I'm asking, why does she need a mentor? You don't have a mentor. Why should she have a mentor? But that's actually a lie. Now I realize it. And he says, no, well, I'm the. So I asked, okay, but there are other people in her group. Why can't she ask one of the women in her group, which is what he had been teaching at church and all these youth camps? Why can't she ask one of the women in the group to be her mentor? I'm the cleverest in the class. That's why she wants me to be the mentor. Oh my word, the pride. I didn't see it as narcissism, I just saw it as pride and ego. And I knew he got his, now I know the word is supply. He loved being admired by women. Sin of Baal pure. Midianitish women. Those of you who know the story of the Israelites, how many of them perished because they could not control themselves before they entered the promised land? That's his problem. So there we are, and I'm telling him, no, that goes against your principles. I don't even know why she's talking to you so much anyway. I don't know why you're always talking about her, why you're talking to her so much. Tell her she must get a woman to be her mentor. This is against your principles. The joke is on me. He was a fake teacher, a hypocrite. It was not against his principles as he taught. It was against the principles as written by our founder, but he didn't believe anything he was teaching, guys. It was all a big old lie. He said it, he didn't believe it, and he sure didn't love it. So that was the end of that, I thought. But one night in August, I thought, my husband's having an affair. The next morning, I woke up, I had the thought still in my head, and as I showered, I wept. This fan, okay, my medication, my treatment makes my lips, mouth dry. It's killing me. Air blowing at you when you already have no saliva, not a good feeling. Even my throat is dry. Anyway, but it's working, kind of, the treatment. So, where were we? I cried. I wept. It was as if he or God had told me to my face. That's how much I believed it. And then in the evening, I thought I was stupid because I had no evidence. So I talked myself out of it. And then, 24th of September was my son's birthday, Micaiah. He is going off overseas to India and then America, I think New York, I don't know which city or state. And they were going again with this group, constantly traveling, always, always. We'd had a burglary. The burglar had come in, past my firstborn son, stolen our laptop. I was scared. He didn't give a toot. He didn't care. All he was excited that he's leaving us all alone with no extra security, knowing we've been burgled and I'm scared and I'm the only guard of 4 children on my own, because he's happily going off to travel with those people. And this pain at the lack of care, the lack of worry, the lack of concern, the lack of worry. How can you not care that your family is not safe? That stayed with me. That Friday, it stayed with me. Saturday, he's off traveling, and I phoned his phone. Now, he has 2 phones. One phone was for a previous company he worked at. He was still a director, BEE points. So he's a director there, right? He was a director there. I don't know now if he still is. No, he's not. He was a director there, and then he had at the workplace he was at, a retail place, right? He had 2 phones, the work phone and the old work phone. I phoned him on the old work phone. He's meant to be at Johannesburg Airport. A woman answers, and I say hello. She says hello, like with a colored accent, and I hear bustling. I can tell it's at the airport. And I say hello, and she says hello. And I said hello. Can I speak to my husband, please? And she turns the phone off. I was still blind. So I phone his other phone and I'm telling him, your phone has been stolen. Get it back quickly. And he says, what do you mean? I'm talking on my phone. Obviously, he was obfuscating. And I said, I mean, your other phone, your other phone. Someone has taken your phone. No, man, don't be ridiculous. My phone is in my satchel, in my laptop bag. And I say, no, I called your phone. I'm not stupid. Someone is using your phone. You had better get it back quickly. He brushed me off like I'm stupid. And that was the first time that I thought, okay, this man, I know I'm not dumb. Why is he lying? Why is he not worried about his phone being missing? I don't understand why he's not worried that his phone is gone. So anyway, move on. Taking pictures of myself, celebrating our son's first birthday on my own. And I go into our online album, OneDrive. I go in, I'm going to delete ugly pictures, blurred pictures, all these other pictures you don't need. And boom, there she is, sitting across, obviously him, posing like this with a sleeveless top. She has thick dreadlocks, ponytail, big teeth, and I'm like, there we go. There we go. I've got the thing, the evidence of what I felt in August. I've got it now, 26th of September. That was when I saw the evidence. I looked at more pictures. There's a picture of his lap and her lap right next to each other in a tuk-tuk. What are those Indian vehicles called? Is it a tuk-tuk? I've forgotten what it is. I don't know if that's the name in Dar es Salaam, but whatever it is, it's like that. Those cars with the three wheels and his thigh and I think her thigh, like next to him, pictures like that. Like, oh, we're so romantic. I wanted to vomit. I was so angry. I was so sad. But mostly I was angry because I knew I had been a good, like, good darn it, I was a good wife. I knew I had overlooked so much, and I should have been getting a reward for everything I had overlooked. I should have been receiving a lot of gratitude for the grace I was giving. But instead, this is what was happening. I'm holding the fort being a single mother while he's having fun. So I thought this is why he was racing off and happy, because he's having fun. I'll be the only one suffering here at home. I phoned him and I said, you better come back home because our marriage is on the rocks. Of course he wouldn't come back. What? Leave her? Never. So he went on along with her to America. I told his sister and she was angry. She looked at the photos and she's like, my word, this woman is so ugly. What's wrong with him? She's so ugly, blah, blah, blah. She sent me flowers. I thought everything was okay. She would get it. He came back and I said to him, and he was meant to preach that same Sabbath. I said, dude, you can't preach. What do you mean you're preparing a sermon? You're a liar. You're a hypocrite. You cannot preach. How would you do that? How could you do that? When you look at the qualifications of an elder, which are the teachers of the church, the deacons, they're meant to be blameless. He was full of sin. He's not allowed to preach. If it was in the old days, God would have struck him dead with lightning. And we know what the death penalty is, what you get for adultery, stoning to death. You want to stand up and preach and pretend you're talking for God when you don't even know God's voice? So he told the elders, he was an elder at the time. He told them, there's a family situation, I won't preach. Promised. I'm not going to talk to her again. Blah, blah, blah. People, I was the one doing all the research. I was the one trying to figure out how do you save a marriage when you've lied to your wife? How do you save your marriage when you've been an unfaithful husband? That wasn't my job. He should have been doing that because he's the one who broke the marriage. For me, it was over. You lied in your vows. Those vows are null and void. They're not real. They were meaningless to you because you did not mean them. Literally meaningless. So you now have to rebuild. Actually, you have to build a new marriage. And because you've shown that you are a liar, because you've shown that you're untrustworthy, because you have shown that you cannot control yourself, because you have proven that you're a fake Christian, you're going to have a mountain to climb just to be viewed as a good guy, let alone a guy worth marrying. He never did that. He did say, I won't talk to her again. And then November 19th, I had a dream. And that Tsiki woman was laughing at me, telling me she's still with him. It was a Saturday night. And telling me she's still with him. I cried. Sunday, we were at the shops, I cried. Now, how did I feel? How did I feel knowing my husband has been unfaithful to me, who has been very faithful to him? And I mean, really faithful. So faithful that when I was tempted or when a guy started flirting with me, I told him, you know what? We're treading on dangerous ground. This is not right. I'm going to tell my husband what's going on. And I did. And he knew that I told my husband. And I tried to warn his wife that, girlfriend, your man is not faithful. That's the kind of person I am. I flee temptation. And if I can flee temptation, and I had no husband at the time, he wasn't even in the country with me. If I can flee temptation in the absence of love, in the absence of, oh, my wife, I miss you. There were no phone calls saying, I miss you. It was always, I did this today. I did this today. It was always me, me, me. Those I was not receiving. I was just listening to how his day was. And I still did not ever kiss, touch, write any I love yous and or whatever he was writing. Oh, I checked his email. After I saw the photos, I went to his emails. And all this time, all those flights to Johannesburg, he was asking the course convener, not the course convener, the travel facilitator to seat him next to Mrs. Khateb. Always. I'm sure she knew. I mean, she's not stupid. There's no way a man will insist he was to sit with a certain woman, especially not when he's married and she's married, if there's not something big going on between the two of them. That's how stupid he was, that he made it obvious to that woman that there's clearly something going on. So it was obviously on the flight that she told him, oh, my dear, isn't it sad? My husband hates me. He wants me to use an Uber. Oh, woe is me. My life is over. I have to use an Uber. Man, I was stupid, and I stayed stupid because I had that dream. I had been praying for him on my own all along to convert and repent, but I didn't see the sorrow. When I had that dream, I wept at the shops. I had been crying at the shops. I was crying anytime. My heart was ripped and shredded. If you know me, you know that I lived for my family. I wanted to be, and I was, the best wife a good, godly man could ever have. I loved our family. I loved the God who had put us together, so I thought. Or rather, I loved the God who had enabled us to be together. And I lived that. I showed it. I loved it. And I meant it. So to find out that I'm living with someone who doesn't mean anything he's saying it was shocking because one, I hate liars. I hate liars. Okay. I hate liars. I hate lies. I don't even tell white lies. So that was already just, I'm sleeping with the devil. And now he's led a woman astray. He's meant to be a Christian preacher and he's led a woman astray away from God. What is wrong with him? Some women go on about the woman. For me, it was my own husband. What is wrong with him? How could he let God down so much? He even had the steps, even if you didn't, if it wasn't natural to you. Like for me, it's natural to not flirt. But for him, if it's not, God said, if you love me, keep my commandments. I love God, I will keep his commandments. His commandments are not grievous. That's what the Bible says. God says, blameless, upright, faithful. All right, would this be what an upright man does? No, it wouldn't be. Let me not do it. That's what a man does if he's fighting against his flesh. But he did the opposite. And that is what killed me the most. The spiritual, religious aspect of being married to a hypocrite. I could never conceive that I could ever be trapped with a hypocrite. It was like I was looking at the devil every day. And he himself said he thought I was going to kill him. He thought, I'm going to get a knife and I will stab him to death. That's how I used to look at him. Yeah. So in November, I had the dream and I believed it. I believed it was real. So 2 nights later, he went into the shower. I quickly grabbed his iPad before it would go off because he's never given me his passcode, all of that. Never, not after. Before, he used to preach, of course. Remember I told you he was preaching about family values? So he told people that we have access to each other's emails. I did. I'd never looked because I trusted. Why would I care about his work email or whatever is being emailed to him? The only time I ever looked at his email was when I found photos of Unsiki Khatebe. Then I looked at his email and saw all the emails between them, all the emails, yeah, all the emails. Sorry, it actually hurts. My mouth feels like sandpaper. I hate this disease. So sorry, it must be boring, but yeah, this is how it happened. I opened up the iPad and she had just written back to him. He had written a minute before saying, well, I'm off to go shower and Ziki. And she said, oh, don't forget to wash behind your ears. And I was like, darn, he's still a liar. Now, here's the thing. I was a Christian brainwashed Christian at the time. I believed what the leaders said, and the leaders were all men, right? So I believed what the leaders said, which was that when you forgive, you reconcile. Lies! Forgiving just means you hold no resentment, you don't harbor hatred. It does not mean you reconcile. That would be a lie, because God said, if they have been unfaithful, you can divorce. But if the same God says you must forgive, but at the same time he says you should or can divorce, both cannot be wrong, which means you forgive, but you move away. Duh! But I had not yet clicked. Firstly, also, I was in pain. I was in a world of pain. This time, I was not only grieving, I wanted to die. This time, I sincerely thought of ways I could die. Okay, if I jump into the ocean, I can't swim, so I would die. But what if I try to save myself? Then, how will I know that I'm deep enough not to save myself? And what if I go off a bridge, but what if I survive and then I paralyze myself? I sincerely, seriously thought of ways to die, because I had put my all into this man. I had ignored all the cruel things he had done. I had ignored that he let his mother steal our money I had worked for myself, physically breaking my body. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just knew the pain that work was causing on my body, my bones, my feet, my everything. And she stole it after our wedding with saved rent and deposit. It comes up in our enmeshment thing, so I'm not going to dwell on it. I had withstood a lot. I'd sacrificed a lot, kept quiet a lot, boosted his positives a lot, ignored all the negatives big time. And this was my reward, for him to keep sinning. What in the world had I given myself to? And the other question was, why did God not stop him? Am I not good enough for him? Do I not matter to God? If he could stop Balaam by using a talking donkey to curse the children of Israel, am I not worth the children of Israel? Am I not of the same value? Did he not care about me? Did I not matter? Had I committed some sin that I had not confessed? And so he was punishing me. Why? I did not understand the why, because I really thought God and I had a close relationship. And so for him to have allowed this much heartbreak, it meant I had truly misjudged our relationship, or I had betrayed him, God, terribly in some way, or I had sinned and we weren't actually even close. Forget this close, we were not even close. So I thought, what is there to live for? God has forsaken me. Clearly I'm going to hell, because if he is allowing this amount of pain, it means that whatever I've done is beyond forgiveness. And because I can't think of what I've done that I've not ever confessed and turned away from, then I'm as good as dead. I'm going to hell. So why should I live? And I cannot live. The pain is the pain was incredible. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to think, but I had children. I had to live for the children. The children were the only reason I did not die. Plus, I didn't know how I would do it. I didn't have tablets. I didn't actually know anything. I didn't know how I would do it. And I didn't want to research, Google, look it up, in case the children then know that I died on purpose. I didn't want them to know that I had killed myself and left them with a father like that, who is a liar. And at the same time, who was going to raise my children if I die? A liar. I don't want my children raised by a liar. I want my children raised to love the God who I thought had abandoned me. My mind was going like this, people. So I thought, okay, I am clearly not good enough to save him. Let me tell the elders. The elders will be shepherds and they will work their magic to make him see how far away he has strayed from God and how much he needs to beg him for his forgiveness. I was wrong. I was very wrong. The elders didn't care. The elders, I don't know what. The elders, the one especially, I don't think he himself knows what sin is unless he sees it in other women. Two of them, in fact. Three of them. All of them are very good at seeing sin in women. They always pointed out wrongs that other women did. Some of them what their wives do. Never, ever, never have they ever condemned a man who has done worse. And I mean it. They never said a word against a man who was beating his wife. And he knows, if he ever sees this, he knows because he told me himself. This man, a leader in the church. They never said a word about him beating his wife. They never said a word about his multiple affairs. I didn't know this that time. I only found out later. At this point, at this time, I did not know how much they had turned a blind eye to male, terrible male sins. I just knew that they were against sinning. But it turns out it's only if it's women, women, certain wrongs. So I told them they did nothing much. Like, okay, if you analyze it, they did nothing except tell me that I mustn't tell anybody, except tell me that I must. That's in another video, so I won't go into that. It's in my video that's titled "The Reasons Why I'm Opening Up Now." So that's how I found out about this affair. And then I realized, guys, that it's not me. I mean, I asked him, why did you do it? And first he said it was because when he would phone me, I would be teaching the children. And I thought it was apparently bad. I'm a homeschool teacher, but I'm apparently not meant to be teaching during the day. I'm meant to be at his beck and call. So whenever he phones, whether I'm in the toilet or I've got a baby who I'm feeding or a baby who's just fallen, it was that time when my son was smashing his face into tiles because his muscle tone was so low that he couldn't carry his weight when he was crawling. So his face would just go smack into tile and he would bleed onto my tops, my dresses. It was the worst time ever for someone to show you for sure 100% you are meaningless to me and worthless to me when I'm going through the toughest time with my children. And I realized it's not me. He told me it's because he would phone me and I wouldn't answer when he wanted to talk to me during when he's free from his work. And in that, I realized that he doesn't take my teaching seriously. Guys, you saw I got my children through high school, the ones who are old enough to finish high school. My daughter's in university. She's going to second year university. Hello? It was teaching is work. I just wasn't getting paid enough, and I'm still not getting paid enough. So he didn't. What I read through that was he doesn't respect me because though he was preaching that women should be homemakers, though he was insulting women who were sending their children to school and telling them that they were outsourcing the raising and education of their children to strangers, he actually didn't respect me for doing what our literature, as the Bible titles to, and as our literature said, he didn't actually respect me for doing it. So I wasn't going to fall for that lie. I wasn't going to start apologizing and say, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Next time, I will make sure my phone is always on ring no matter what I'm teaching, whether it's maths or geography. I will just always answer. No. And then he said the other reason is because I don't work in the world of business. And she did. She worked at Alert at the time. She was about to join Imperial, but now she's at another company. And anyway, so that's why. Again, I didn't fall for it. I might not know business, but there are many men at your workplace who do know business. You didn't need her. None of the excuses were good enough because firstly, there's never an excuse to sin. Even if I had been the worst woman on earth, he then could have just said, either, lady, let's divorce, or we need counseling because you're the worst woman ever, and let's go fix you because I can't I can't be true to you if you're not fixed. I can't control myself. But he didn't. So I knew. I think that was actually the beginning, though it was a very slow awakening. That was the beginning of my realizing my true worth. It wasn't in how much he valued me because I saw he didn't value me. But as I kept reading God's word and I kept reminding myself of why I live the way I live, as it is written in our Adventist founders, pioneers literature, I knew and realized I was living for God. So if he, Mr. Fake Christian, did not like that I was living for God, he had the problem. And the worst part is he married me by future faking. There's another word in the narcissistic sphere. Future faking that he would be a Christian person. He taught the family camp that you must say nice things about your wife every single day. He never said nice things every single week. Forget every single day. He was just teaching these things. People thought he lived them. He was not living them. He was lying. So I knew it's not me. But then what? I'm homeschooling. I've got this disease. I didn't know it was a disease yet. I just knew I had a problem of pain. I didn't know all those other times when I would wake up, and now I know it's a flare. But at the time I didn't know what it was, and I would feel like I'm dying. And then it would go away. And then again, I would say, please pray for me. I feel like I'm dying. But there's no real, I can't go to the hospital and say I'm bleeding over here. Or, there's just, I'm going to die. It was an AS flare, ankylosing spondylitis. So I knew I'm not well. So how will I work when I'm not well? Right now, fast forward to now, I'm not meant to work. I was told 2 years ago that I'm not meant to even be homeschooling at all. I'm not meant to work, zero work. So I already knew I was not going to be a very good employee. So how will I take care of my children when I divorce him? And who will take care of my children? They are young. They're still going through assessments. They are special needs. Where would they be? Who would they be? Who would they go to? There was nowhere for them to go to. I had to be with them. And if I'm being with them, then I need an income. And the only income was the one from the breadwinner who was the liar, hypocrite. So I told him, okay, he didn't want a vow renewal. He said if he did a vow renewal, then people would know that he had done something wrong. And he didn't want that pride. So I said, okay, well, this is no longer a marriage. You lied on our wedding day. You lied publicly to the people who were there. You lied to my family. Sorry, I've got chronic sinusitis. You lied to the angels that were present. You lied to my Father God. You lied. And this marriage as it is does not exist until you fix it. So for now, I'm staying, but only because of the children. I don't feel any love. How can you feel love towards someone who doesn't love you? Would you ever feel like you're attracted to someone who's a liar and a hypocrite? I couldn't. If he fixed it, if he had worked hard at it, as I say in my upcoming video, like David did after Nathan exposed him, that would have been another story. But the fruits showed, by the fruits you shall know them, said Jesus. And I could tell the fruit. And the fruit was not of sorrow, horror at what he had done, nothing like that. So I just stayed for the children. I continued being a good wife because that's what the principle said. That is my principle. Those are my values. I will not be mean to you just because you are mean to me. I will not treat you the way you treat me, especially if I'm stuck living with you, and because I want to be a good example for the children. And then we'll move on to number 2 next time, because that's when you will find out that if I'd been able to get free, it would have been better to go away than to stay for the children. See you later.